Yo guys, what's going on? So it's Anarchy Immortal here. So today we're going to be talking about how you can improve your KD in Black Ops 4 and just really pushing the boat here and getting it to a really high KD, really improving. Some of the tips are going to be sort of for the lower tier players, if you've got less than a 1 KD or a 1 KD or maybe even a 1.5, and then I've got a few tips for obviously higher tier players, people who are at maybe a 2, a 3, a 4, whatever you're at, just sort of push it that extra step further forward. Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, one of the main things in this game is making sure that you play in a comfortable sensitivity. So I have got obviously gameplay on in the background, so you can sort of see how my shot is, making sure that it's quite accurate. I do go flawless in that gameplay, and I have got another gameplay for you as well, but we'll get to that. So one of the main things is that making sure that you have a really comfortable sensitivity. So what I would recommend is sort of starting at a 6.6 and testing that out, playing with a few bots, going free for all in custom games and play against them and just see how it's feeling, making sure that it's really accurate, you're not missing your shots, If you're playing 14-14 in terms of your sensitivity, your shot's going to be all over the show unless you're obviously really talented and can play like that. But most people obviously can't, I can't play that high, that's too much for me. So what you want to do is you want to start out at 6.6, see how it's feeling. If it's too high, obviously you want to lower it. If it's too low, you want to obviously improve it, move it up. One of the things you've got to say is you want to make sure that you're finding a balance, because you want to make sure that when you're aiming down sight, you're really accurate, you're not all over the show, so you can hit your shots, but then at the same time, you want to make sure you've got a high enough KD, high enough sensitivity that if someone's shooting you from behind or the side, you can turn fast enough to be able to get that kill. So it is about finding that balance. Obviously, a higher sensitivity is more is better for you, really, because you can turn faster and maneuver around the map much easier. But it's about finding that point where, when you start getting too high, that your shot starts going off. So you want to make sure you're getting as high as you possibly can to the point where your shot is still really accurate. For me, that's a 9.9. So I would say start at 6.6, start pushing it up if you can, play a 7.7 if that's comfortable, play an 8.8, because you want to be able to turn, hit people if they're shooting you from behind and everything like that, but then you want to make sure you're as accurate as possible. So it's about finding that balance between those two different variables. And obviously just practicing, playing a lot of game time and making sure that you're playing against bots and different stuff like that can really get your shot going and make it really accurate, but it is just essentially time. Okay, so another little tip I've got for you guys, which is relevant to the gameplay that you're currently watching at the moment. That's not how I normally play COD. This is it is just for the purposes of this video. I'm a lot more of a rusher normally. I don't normally use the ICR or anything like that in sort of my normal gameplays, but for this tips video, I feel like it's really important to share this with you guys. One of the things I'd say is make sure that you're playing for your streaks. As you can see in the video, I do cycle my streaks right a lot. I've got a Thresher, an Attack Chopper and a Strike Team in it, and I'm just working through them, keep working through them. I go flawless. I think I get maybe like 3 or 4 sets of streaks in that time. Really good. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're using ComSec device, and the reason for this is so you can get your streaks a lot faster. It does lower the score requirement that you need to get them, and then as well that you want to couple it up with Crash, because you do get the extra bonus from Crash. You do get 25 extra XP score for every kill you get once you pick up the assault pack, as well as your teammates picking up the assault pack for 25 points for every time they pick it up. As well as that, you've got obviously the top 5, which is 25 points for every teammate that you boost. If you're in kill confirmed, you've got 6 teammates, well, 5 teammates, 6 including you obviously, so it means you do 5 times 25, so 125 points maximum. And one of the things I'm going to say is make sure that you're playing kill confirmed. If you want a high KD and want to cycle your streaks and everything like that, which is the best way to get high KD, play kill confirmed. And the reason for this is the fact that for each kill it's 50 points. If they've got armor, obviously an extra 25 onto that, but it's 50 points for the kill, and then it's 100 points to pick up the tag. So that means each kill potentially is 150 points. If you've got armor, 175. If you've got Crash, 200. You're really getting to the high scores there. So you only need 4 kills and you got 800 points. Or if that's how it's working out, as well as like you get 25 points for every deny you get. If your teammate dies near you, just pick up that tag, deny it, 25 points for you. And that's a really good way to sort of level up very quickly, for XP and just to get that really high KD. So you can literally only have like 4 kills in the game, and you can be on, I don't know, 800, 900 points and be getting an Attack Chopper or a Sniper's Nest or anything. So it is a really good way to start getting your streaks. Really important. And then one of the reasons why it is 100% the best game mode for your KD is the fact that in other game modes, when you get streaks, so you get a strike team, and then the strike team gets kills, it only gives you 10 points for those kills as a result of your score streak. For each kill that any score streak you get, you only get 10 points. Where in kill confirmed, yes, you only get 10 points, same as the other ones, but it also drops a tag, meaning that you can pick up that tag, an extra 100 points, working towards your next set of streaks. So it's the only game mode where you can actually get extra points from your score streaks. So as you'll see in this gameplay, my strike team, Thresher, Attack Chopper might clear out at one side of the map, meaning that I can run in, pick up those tags, and I can get 300, 400, 500 points just from capitalising on what my streaks have done. You know, I've not got those kills, my streaks have got those kills, and I'm still getting extra points for that, instead of just getting 10, 20, 30 just off the score streak solely. That's why it's 100% the best game mode. You know, as you can see in the gameplay, I'm literally cycling my streaks. You know, I only get 39 kills in the end. A lot of them are from streaks, but you can see how many times I'm cycling through them in that time, meaning that I'm just getting, you know, streak after streak after streak. And if you're doing that, you're obviously going to get really good gameplays, really high kills, and you're obviously going to be getting that KD to a really high point. You know, at the moment, I've got a really high KD in the game, and this is the way that if I wanted to sort of, you know, I don't like playing like this, you know, this isn't my favourite way of playing. You know, I do like playing sort of more rushing, but if I was just like solely going for my KD, you know, 100%, and wanted a 6, a 7, 8 KD, this is how I would play. As well, you've got to learn to watch the radar. So as you can see in the gameplay again, you know, the reason that it's important is you want to make sure that you are watching your radar, because you can see sort of where the enemy's spawning. You know, if your team are all on one side, you know they're going to be on the other side, so you can keep an eye on that. Or if all your teams start pushing forward, you know they're going to start spawning behind you. And this is map awareness, and this does come with a lot of playtime on the game. You know, the more you play, obviously, the more you're going to know. But if you're only level 1, level 2, stuff like that, you're going to really struggle with this, because it does take time. You know, I didn't do it at the start. I'm a lot better player than I was when I first got this game. You know, that's just practice, obviously. But learning to watch your radar, you know, making sure that if you see shots near you or teammates down near you, you know they're around you, so you've got to make sure that you're aware of that, and you can then obviously capitalise on that and get that kill. Another thing that I think is really, really important in this game is that you're making sure that you're using the right classes. For example, you know, you want to make sure that, unless you're obviously a really talented player who can sort of multitask and do different things in different maps, you want to make sure that you're using the right class for the right map. For example, I wouldn't use a SOG on Militia, or I wouldn't use a knife on Icebreaker. I wouldn't use an Auger on Nuketown. You know, obviously I know you can still do well with them, but the majority of the time you're not going to. You want to make sure that you're using sort of the right class for each map. You know, obviously your ARs, you can sort of do everything with them. You know, you can do it short range, long range, pretty much everything on this game, because the ARs are so really dominant in this game. But you want to make sure that you're using the right class. You know, if I'm on a really close quarters map, I might use a Cordite or a Spitfire, but then I'm not going to use a Spitfire on Icebreaker. And it's making sure that, I know a lot of players will say like, oh, I really love the Rampart, it's such a good gun, or I really love the SOG or something, and yeah, that's fine, but then you've got to make sure that you can play with other guns and you are utilising each gun for certain maps. You know, I switch my gun maybe every couple of games because I don't feel like it's right for that map, or I feel like I'm going to do better with this gun, depending on how you're playing. You know, so it is about having that awareness to know that on certain maps certain guns aren't going to work. You know, I'm not saying you can't do good with them, because obviously you can, but the likelihood of you doing good obviously decreases. You know, if you're using a really long range gun on a really close quarters map, you're going to struggle, obviously opposite otherwise. So that's just another little tip in terms of that. So one thing that I'm just going to say is that so far we've gone over the fact you need to make sure that you've got comfortable sensitivity, get really good accuracy, you know, and just work on that. And that's something that I'll just take a little bit of practice from you guys, a little bit of testing, you know, play for your streaks and play for using your ComSec device, Crash, Kill Confirmed, all those teams together, and you're going to absolutely dominate and you'll get really high KDs. You know, a standard map on that you can get, you know, 60, 70, 80 kills and only get a couple of deaths, you know, if you're playing it right. And then obviously you've got to make sure that you're using the right classes. Now to move on to sort of a few more advanced things for more advanced players, you know, who've already got a really good KD and just want to even boost it even more, learning some of the advanced movement. So making sure that you're utilising a jump shot in the right situation. So if you've not got a scuff remote or obviously a paddled remote, you can make sure that you're using bumper jumper, so your analog stick is you jump, and then you can jump shot, and that's just sort of an extra thing. You know, if I'm standing still in one spot and enemies shooting at me, you know, just doing that jump shot does give me that little advantage, because I am doing movement and it means they have to move the scope, and if you're not, obviously for a really good players, they will be able to kill you, but against sort of not as good players or anything like that, that extra movement is something that will throw them off, because they already, you know, that being able to move their scope and get that kill from that, you know, it is harder for them. You know, it just makes the enemy have to work more for that kill, and you know, you're 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that kill, which I find very, very useful. As well, learning how to do the slide, you know, slide can come really useful, getting behind cover or sort of manoeuvring around the map, because it is harder to shoot someone in a slide, and obviously when they're running, and you can move a little bit faster in that slide, so just getting behind that little bit of cover, it is really useful. Another thing, strafing, you know, moving side to side when you're aiming down scope. You know, if I'm stood completely still, I'm an easy kill for the enemy. You know, even if I'm really accurate, if they're, you know, got any sort of accuracy, it is so much easier to kill someone standing still. If you're strafing side to side, then that makes that kill harder. They've got to keep moving their scope, and they're going to struggle to hit you, meaning that you can capitalise on that kill. You know, using stock on your guns, you know, like the SOG, if you've got stock 2, you can strafe at a ridiculous speed, but I feel like that's one of the most important things. And another tip, which I would say is probably one of the best things that I did for my game, for my KD, this is a more advanced tip, you know, it is harder to execute, is learning how to shot punch. Okay, so I think I did one of them in the Nuketown gameplay, you know, I might have got another one, I'm not sure, but it's what shot punch is essentially is the fact that a hit with your weapon in this game, a melee with your weapon, is 145 damage out of obviously the opponent's 150 health, and then there's no gun that doesn't do more than less than 5 damage. So what you do is you want to hit one bullet onto them and then hit them with a melee. It does take a lot of practice, you know, it did take me a while to get used to. You know, if you've got you know, able to practice, you know, going with bots and do that, but what you want to do is maybe even you could do a slide while hip firing and then hit them there, or you know, it's more for if someone pops up at you, you want to sort of shoot one bullet and quickly get that melee off, because most people don't use their melee, they're going to just try and shoot you, so it might take, I don't know, 4 or 5 seconds for them to kill you, where that one shot hit, you can do it in a second. You know, if you really sort of get it down to a T, you know, it's such a useful method. If you watch any sort of the pros play COD, you will notice that they do it consistently. It's one of the most common things in there, and it's so overpowered. I mean, you can get kills when you're hardly on any health, because you can get them so fast. Like, you can shoot and melee so quickly that they can't even get a shot on you. You know, it's one of the best things that you can do for your game, to be honest. So I'm going to leave things there, guys. So I feel like I've covered a lot of good things. You know, there's 5 best tips that you can do for your KD. I've obviously got one for the advanced players, as well as the fact that obviously I still think playing kill confirm, playing few streaks, stuff like that is useful for advanced players if they want to boost it to even higher. But I've got obviously the tips in there for the more amateur, beginner players, you know, sort of lower KD players, just to boost it up. But I really feel like it's so important. Play kill confirmed, play few streaks, use ComSec, use crash, get those tags. You know, that's so important. It's so easy to get a really high KD, and just sort of from that you can just boost your KD ridiculously. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video. If you guys like this, or if you've utilised this and you've boosted your KD or anything like that, leave it in the comment section. I always want to hear any sort of feedback that people give me or anything like that. You know, if there's a tip that I've missed that you think should be in it, or if I've not explained something correctly, you know, message me in the comment section. I will explain it better if I've not done that, or I can explain sort of my reasoning why more if there's something that confused you a little. So I'll just catch you in the next one, guys. So peace.
Icepick online. Scanning for open ports.
Nomad, requesting care package drop. Hostiles disrupted our sentry. Attack him. Get a UAV on station above. Request front squad authority.
Thresher standing by for tasking. Attack chopper available for tasking. Victory 1-4, ready on mission.
Close. Make it official. Attack him. Crash requesting Hellstorm deployment.